Hi, my name is Candace Cotton. I'm the founder of Sufficient Grace Ministries, where our mission is to create awareness for the prevention of child molestation and sexual abuse, and also to help find healing from past sexual abuse through Christ. Today I wanted to answer the question, are there sex offenders in your neighborhood, and how can you find out? First of all, I wanted to give the definition of a sex offender. Wikipedia says that a sex offender is a person who has committed a sex crime. And it goes on to say that the majority of convicted sex offenders have convictions for crimes of a sexual nature. However, some sex offenders have simply violated a law contained in a sexual category. So all sex offenders are not convicted of sex crimes, but all sex offenders on the sex offender registry have been convicted of a sex crime. So how can you find out if a sex offender lives in your neighborhood or in your town? Find out next. So this is how you find out whether or not there are sex offenders in your neighborhood. First, we're going to start off by going to Google and typing in sex offender registry. And so I live in Illinois, so the first thing that pops up is the Illinois Sex Offender Registry information website. But we're going to scroll on down to the National Sex Offender Registry. Alright, so we're on the website. It is the United States Department of Justice National Sex Offender Public website. So we're going to press Advanced Search. And on this search, you can search by name or by zip code. So we're going to go by zip code. I'm just going to press a random Chicago zip code first. And press search. And in this search, under the zip code in Illinois, there are 220 registered sex offenders. It has the search date and time, and the names of all the sex offenders that are registered in the zip code 60628. And so we're going to go back, and you can also search by address radius. Now, I'm going to put in Illinois because I just want to say that Illinois does not provide a geographic coordinates for addresses for the National Sex Offender Registry. So I am not able to put in an address so that we can pinpoint a sex offender in a particular neighborhood for the state of Illinois. But if your state does provide geographic coordinates, then you can plug in an address in your state. So you can just try your address and see who in your specific neighborhood is a sex offender. So with that, we're going to move on back up to the Illinois Sex Offender Registry information website. And this website actually does pinpoint in the state of Illinois who are sex offenders. And you can go by last name, you can go by the city or the zip code, and you can even go by the actual county that you live in. So first we're going to go by the city of Chicago and plug that in and press find. And in the city of Chicago, there are 3,997 offenders. They also show whether or not the offenders are non-compliant or whether or not their location is unknown. So if you live in a specific town, you will be able to plug in the the name of your town and see what sex offenders live in your town. Also, you can get it specific where you have Chicago. You can put in the zip code 60628 and get a little bit more specific on how many sex offenders live in this particular zip code. Or, yeah, the zip code. All right. So, and now there are 218 sex offenders that live in Cook County in this particular zip code. Well, in Chicago, in this particular zip code. And you can actually put in the county that you live in. And this is Cook County. And press find. And there are 176 sex offenders that live in this county with the zip code 60628. And so you can actually find an address that is near yours to see whether or not sex offenders live in your specific neighborhood. So before we go, I'm just going to put in my actual town. I live in Chicago Heights. And see how many sex offenders live in my town in Illinois. Let's see. There are 56 sex offenders that live in the city of Chicago Heights. I can actually press the status to see which ones are non-compliant. Press find. And there are 11 offenders that are non-compliant or have an unknown location in my town. So I can actually look and see if any of these addresses are near my home. And, you know, once you know, it's good to know who lives in your town, but it's also very important to know what sex offenders live in your town, especially if you have children, small children and teenagers. I just wanted to say that the National Sex Offender Registry is for all 50 states, but you will also have a specific registry for your own specific state. A website that the navigation might be a little bit different from the one that I showed you for Illinois. So I want you to keep that in mind. With that, I thank you for joining me today. I hope you learned something about sex offenders and how to find out if there are any in your neighborhood or your town. And I will leave links below on how to access the National Sex Offender Registry list. Thank you. Bye.